Good evening, everybody. It's your boy D Mac. So let's talk. Y'all saw the title, and this all came about because I was sitting here and I was reading yet again. Let me take these up. I was reading yet again another story about, police brutality and one of the victims' family receiving a settlement for the offense that was taken. And so it started me to thinking I have a pretty vivid imagination. And so I was thinking to myself, what if that, happened to me if I were to be unlawfully assaulted by a law enforcement official and receive a large settlement in the millions of dollars? What would I do with that money? What would be one of the main things that I would do with that money? And I was thinking to myself, if that were to ever take place, I thank God that it hasn't, and I continue to pray that it won't. Um, I believe one of the main things that I would invest that money in would be a actually a team of lawyers that specialize in this field of police brutality or just any type of offense against people. I'll get a team of top lawyers that specialize in that, and I would have them on retainer at all times. Then I would begin to search out a private investigation team, not just one private investigator, but a team. I would have a team of them who would be on retainer as well. And, I would use them for purposes of gaining information and, things that those other resources that I have wouldn't be able to obtain. And then I would begin to search for different cases, people who have fallen victim to this brutality and they just don't have the resources to get proper justice, because what I'm not going to be searching for is, people that are just trying to make some money off of what happened to them. I'm looking to do exactly what we've been talking about for about the past decade or 2 decades, and that's affecting change on the local level. And that goes with our local officials, our police officers, naturally, our local politicians, mayors, senators, all of these people, judges, and we're seeing some changes in those areas, because I've definitely covered a few cases where attorneys have been held accountable and judges are being held accountable. So we're seeing some of those changes starting to materialize. And so this is what I would definitely start to seek out, is those people who go through these situations and they don't have the resources to properly get justice and really get reform in that police department. And so I would take my time, use my time to travel around wherever I need to go, wherever across the country, and I would offer the services of my private investigation team and my law team to these people who are really trying to seek justice and really want to see a change in their local police department and public officials. And that would be my mission. And so, whenever I started thinking about this and started formulating this whole little scenario in my mind, I started to wonder how many of the victims of police brutality who have won settlements for millions of dollars have done this and thought about this idea and tried to do something like this. And so I started to do what I do best, go down a rabbit hole. And I just started researching and I started trying to pull up the past victims of police brutality who won large settlements and do a follow up and see what they're doing towards police reform now. And you have some who donated money to certain organizations, the ACLU and NAACP. They get charitable donations from these families oftentimes because these are the groups that will come out and sit with the family or be a representation of the family. um but the way I would go about it, it wouldn't be publicized for everybody to see like that, for the simple fact that, and I know what people will say, well, you would want that to be seen, you would want that exposure so that the world can see that this change is taking place. True, fair enough. I can say that, but also at the same time, it definitely would not be about me at all. It would be strictly about the family and what the family needs to get pressure on these people. This is what it takes. It takes pressure. And pressure comes from having the resources to be able to apply said pressure. So if I have millions of dollars that I've received um, as a blessing for a situation that took place in my life that was unfortunate, and I have the ability to take that and turn it around and to be able to make sure that other people don't have to go through the route that I went through to get justice, then that is more than enough. That is more than repayment for our people, because it ultimately it comes down to this. It's about changing our community, right? That's the bottom line. And so if what's going on, Reverend Tony, man, good to see you, sir. Yes, applying pressure to these local officials. And so if you have the monetary ability to apply pressure on them, then that's what it's going to take to get their attention and really get some laws changed on this local level. Because if you got big dollars and you got the money to affect their next election, guess what that mayor is going to start doing? Guess what that sheriff is going to start doing? You know what I'm saying? They're going to start getting a fire up under them to to get some results, because now money is talking. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I'm talking about, and this is why I was having that thought, man. If I if I was to ever come across that type of situation, that's exactly what I would spend my time doing. And so I was trying to look up any of these past victims or the victims' families who won these large settlements to see what they're doing. And man, I'm not seeing anything at all. I'm seeing a lot of organizations pop up and I'm seeing a lot of suggestions of what should be done, but I'm not seeing any stories of any of them investing in um, police reform and law enforcement reform within their local levels or within their cities, like those judges that they always complain about all the time. You can affect that with your money. You can find those families who have been through this or still going through this right now and give them those services, render those services to them. And you can use a lot of this. I know a lot of people be like, yeah, you're just going to run out of money at some point, but you're gonna naturally invest in other things. So you're out. I mean, that should be a given, but if you got a financial advisor and you have a good accountant, when you get large sums of money like that, which anybody should do, one of the first things that you should do, then you will be able to balance that out. And believe me, whenever you're moving and operating within the spirit of God and what God would have you to do as far as being a blessing to somebody, He's going to definitely make sure that you have those resources available to do His work and to bring justice, real justice to those local levels. So I'm still looking for these people, man, and I give a call out to them right now. If your family has benefited monetarily from, an unfortunate thing happening to a family member of yours, whether it be death or whether it be a really brutal beating or something like that, it would benefit not only you, but it would benefit your grandchildren, the next generation, if you would just take the time and effort to apply pressure, man. Pressure is what's bringing this whole thing down. Pressure is what's draining the swamp right now. And we're starting to see a lot of people being held accountable that have not been held accountable for a long time, and they don't know how to take it. They don't know how to respond to it because that's nothing that they've had to deal with for a very long time. And so now that this age that we're going into, where people are starting to recognize, hey, that was a lie. So why is he telling a lie? And now we're starting to get back the capability of thinking for ourselves and not following every wind of doctrine that we hear. Now you're starting to see this pressure being applied. Like I said, there was a story of down in the Memphis, Tennessee area where my sister lives. Shout out to my sister Ursel. I love y'all. Happy holidays to you. There was a judge who didn't want the people who were being pushed out of Memphis through gentrification. The people in her county started to apply pressure on her to basically target the black people who were being pushed out of that Memphis area. And so she started to basically make up laws to detain and hold these children to scare those black people from wanting to move from Memphis to this particular area. And she was caught up for that, and she's being held accountable right now. They're doing the investigation underway, but this is something that she's been doing for over 12, 13 years. 12 or 13 years of this type of behavior against people. And she's just now being held accountable, but at least she's being held accountable. That's the important thing, because that is the narrative that people need to see. And the more that narrative becomes commonplace, now they have to think for a second before they make these decisions, as to where before they would do it with no thought. Absolutely no thought. What's going on, Uncle Vern, man? Good to see you, my brother. Hey, happy holidays to you, sir. Um, but yeah, they used to do these things with absolutely no thought. And I go back to I was born in '77. So, coming up through the '80s, we was coming out of an era, but one thing that's been consistent through every single era from the time that I was born all the way up to now is police brutality. Period. That's one thing that's been consistent throughout time, throughout my time, I'll say. Um, and I was listening to a guy the other day. Forgive me for not remembering his name, but what he said was so very true. I remember the message, but I forgot the messenger. Blame it on my head, not my heart. But it said, we are the only group of people to have to shed our blood for everything that we wanted. Anything that we've asked for, anything that we've desired just as a human being, we've had to shed blood for. Just to go to school, certain schools, blood had to be shed. just to go to certain bathrooms. Blood had to be shed. You know, for us to have the right of being treated like a human being, just the basic things, blood had to be shed. But we're the only people who had to go through that, man. Uh, hey, I appreciate you, my brother. You know I'm always gonna stay in the vein of things, man. And but yeah, man. So I'm just thinking to myself, man, and I'm still gonna be searching, and any of the people who have won settlements off of police brutality, and I find out that they are investing back into police reform, I'm gonna highlight it and I'm gonna make sure that I shout it out on shows, man, because that's a narrative that I really want to push, and I want the local officials to see this because this is what really gets their attention. You know what I'm saying? Money is power in the time that we live in and in the society that we live in. This is capitalism. So money is power. Money moves things. And so when they see money applied behind something, that's going to get their attention. That's going to scare them because they know that that affects their elections. And these local elections, it doesn't take a whole lot to affect them. All it takes is some willpower, some initiative, and some little bit of dough behind it. And now they got a real problem. So, like I said, I'm gonna stay on the lookout for that, man. And I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen to anybody for them to have to go through that to gain some money, man. But if I go through any type of situation to where I'm put in a position to where I have uh, a vast amount of resources at my disposal, just the person that I am, like I said before, whatever you are, when you don't got it, when you get it, you just gonna multiply in what you are. You're gonna be that times 10 or that times 100. So if I was to get that kind of dough, yeah, I'd be a real problem to these public officials, man. They, oh my goodness, I had to ride around with a vest on, a vest and a hard hat. But hey, I done it for a bunch of years in the military, so it wouldn't be nothing for me. I know how to move strategically in silence like lasagna. Ain't that what Wayne said? So yeah, man. This we just have to stay mindful of what's going on in our cities, man. Start going to those town hall meetings. If you really want to know what's going on in your city and who the faces are of these people who are making the laws and the decisions over your neighborhoods, you got to go and see who they are. I ain't saying you got to go and shake their hands and sing kumbaya with them, but you got to go and put a face with the name and a face with those quotes that you be hearing and a face with those laws that y'all be seeing come across that you don't know about until it's already published. That's what those town hall meetings and those city community meetings is for. So you can know exactly what's going on, so you can vote on those redistricting things, man. That's what we got to do. So we sit around a lot and we talk about what need to be done in the hood and what they not doing and this and that. But we don't see the inner workings because we don't even take a little time out to go to those meetings. Most of the time they be on Tuesday afternoons around about 5 in the evening after most people are usually getting off work around about that time. But it's still if you got the time, just swing by and stick your head and hear what they voting on and what they talking about, man. It definitely broaden your perspective on what's going on in the hood, and you can be a lot more effective like that, man. Just knowing about how they be zoning, rezoning districts and stuff, and how that affects the amount of money that goes into a certain district and the funding that goes where I live at right now in Texas. My daughter couldn't get a bus ride to school because there was limited funding for transportation, and so for most of the years that she was in middle school and high school, we had to drive her to school. thank God that we had the transportation to be able to do so. But what about those children that stay in this exact same zone, in this exact same district, whose parents don't have that ability? So now they got to try to rip and run and pay this person and pay that person to get across town to get their, not across town, but to get their child a ride to school, back and forth to school every day, and that's just extra stress that's being pressed on the family, all because of the zone that they live in, and they're not getting the proper funding for that zone. These are the things that they be talking about in these meetings, man. And so when we don't know what they're talking about and what's going on and why our babies got to get a ride and they can't catch a bus like everybody else, that's what these meetings is for, man. So we got to start hitting them up and just being aware, man, being informed and knowing what we can do, because everybody think they gotta do something grand. Everybody think they gotta jump out and in the forefront. And no, man, something as simple as having this information and passing it on to somebody else who have the capability of doing something, because we assume that these people know, but they have lives and they are working in different areas and they have their own distractions in their life. So, if you can pass information, that's how our civilization has grown to the point that it is now. That's how things have been handed down through the generations. Passing information, man, exchanging ideas. This is what it's always been about. This is how we grow. This is how we learn. This is how we come up with concepts to create. So yeah, I just urge my people to be informed, man. Go to these meetings. You don't have to be marching down Main Street to really make an impact. Just let the people know that you're there, and when whatever you have to offer, have it available for the people when they need you. That's it, man. You don't have to be doing nothing great and grand. Everything is important in the movement. Everything is important in looking out in the community. If you just sit on your porch every evening and watch out for the kids that's playing outside in your neighborhood, making sure ain't nobody suspect creeping around y'all neighborhood, that's contributing to the neighborhood, man. That's contributing to our neighborhood. These are things that I see that are missing in our community nowadays. Because look at it, we have so many that pedophilia is just bold and right in your face. They snatching babies in broad daylight. We need those people who just sitting out there on the porch, just watching out for the babies, just making sure ain't nobody crazy coming up to them. That's your part in protecting the neighborhood. That's your part in preserving the community. That's it. We all have a role to play, and every role is important. It's just like the human body. Every single part of our body is necessary, and any part of our body that get disconnected from this body, the body is going to know and is going to act accordingly. You know what I'm saying? If you cut off that pinky toe, smallest toe on the foot, one of the smallest members on the body, but it'll throw the whole entire balance of the whole entire body off. We the body, man. We the body of our community. We the body of our city, and it's comprised of all of these different bodies of people who come together as a collective, man. So everybody's job is important, no matter how much shine or recognition it get or don't get. The right person recognize it. Father, the Most High, He recognized, and that's what counts the most. Anybody else, that's just a reward of man here on earth. And if that's what you're seeking, and you get that praise from man, you just got your reward. So you shouldn't have no problems with it. But yeah, man, that's all that's really going on. I had this thought, man, and I hope that I can come up with a lot of stories about this, man, that can really, really start to paint a picture for these public officials. We just had a situation here in Killeen where, let me get it right. The police said that this is a billing company, and this is the lie that they told. They said we didn't overbill the people. We didn't get, I think it was like $680,000 that they swindled out of these customers, and their excuse was this: we it this excess of money that we got is not a result of of overbilling. It's a result of overpayment. How many bills have you overpaid more than about 10 cent if you rounding up? How many times have you got a bill for $857 and you said, well, I'm gonna go ahead and round that up to 900? Just because I like even numbers, I'm around that up to 900. I know it's 850, but I'm no, no. But this is the semantics that they try to use to try to pull the wool over people's eyes, and no, that time is over with. They used to could get away with that back in the days with my grandmom and them and all of that stuff. No disrespect to my grandmom and them, but that's how they used to confuse people who had limited education. They would start to speak a lot of big words that they don't know. And a lot of us, our pride won't let us say that I don't know what you mean right now. And so we'll just go along. And if we don't recognize what these people talking about, we've been shook our head into a whole situation that we didn't even mean to get in. And so these are things that happen to grandmom and them. That's why I say that. And I take that also, I pay homage to Dick Gregory when I say that, because he used to always speak in reference to what his grandmom and them used to know, as opposed to what our generation knows now. So when I say that, that's in no disrespect in no type of way, because my grandmama was something else. But I just say that to say they can't pull the wool over our eyes no more like they used to back in the day, because of the limited information and education that our ancestors had. And so now we're in a time to where you that term, you can be whatever you want to be. Who that made that song? Nas made that song back in the day where he had the kids in the background. I know I can't be what I want to be. That's There's never been a time in the history of this country, other than after the Civil War, that phrase is true for Black children. They can be absolutely whatever they want to be at this time and age that we're living in, because the powers that be and those so-called elites are starting to lose their grasp on that whole system and structure that they built. Yeah, it lasted for a long time. Lasted for what, over 400 something years. It's about roughly around the same amount of time that the Moors lasted over the European rule that they had. So everything got an expiration date on it, and now we're starting to see the shift, and the shift is causing so many ripples in the water. Like whenever the plates shift in California, because they say after a while California is going to break off and float out into the water and become like an island, and those plates are shifting and it's causing those earthquakes. There's going to be that type of turmoil. There's going to be that type of chaos anytime there's a shift. And so the way that we are shifting as a people and as a nation is causing all of this chaos and all of this turbulence and all of this fear in these people. And so they're going to fight back. They're going to have resistance against this. So that's one thing that we got to stop getting angry about, because we understand that resistance has to come with the shift. And so we can just prepare for the resistance that's going to come with the shift. because I'm pretty sure that people out there in Cali, they got things set up in their house now to safeguard and protect them from the earthquake whenever it happens. Now, there's only so much that you can do. And it's like, you're going to probably screw down most of your delicate furniture that could possibly fall over or be destroyed. Or, you know, I don't know because I ain't never been in an earthquake, but whatever safeguards that they do in California, they're well prepared for that because they know that that's something that happens on the regular. And that's the same thing with us and going through this shift where our people are headed now. We put safeguards in place. We know what they're gonna do. We know that they're gonna come at us on with the covert what was it that Professor Griff called it? He says the covert operation against the black community or the you know what I'm saying, whatever the and that's a dope book. Shout out to him. And you said, well, watch the movie, Don't Look Up. Okay, I definitely check that out. I definitely check that out. Don't Look Up. Is it on Netflix? Cause yeah, because if it is whatever, just let me know what networks it's on. I'll check it out. And but yeah, man, this is the time. This is the era, and we have to seize these opportunities now. Now they were talking this morning about this new generation that we're in that is coming up right now, Generation Z, and they're speaking about how they've oh wow, they're speaking about how they are more aggressive, they're more impatient, and they're more what's the other word they use? They said aggressive, they're more impatient, and they're more blunt. They're more blunt and very direct. And so that's what's going to be needed to carry us into this new thing because we have no more time for beating around the bush and playing these games. We have to directly address things in real time. And that's what this generation, Generation Z, is prepared for because they don't bite their tongue, man. I got grandbabies right now. And man, some of the things that my grandbabies say when I was coming up, I couldn't speak like that to a grown up until I was about 15 or 16 years old. My grandbabies are little, you know what I'm saying, like 4, 5, 6, 7, that range. But in this, I had to understand because I'm from the old school. You speak when you spoken to, you don't talk back, you don't question, even you breathe the wrong way. All right. Hey, truth lady, how you doing? Blessings, my sister. But yeah, you even breathe the wrong way, smack your lips, all of that, total disrespect, and it wasn't tolerated, zero tolerance on that. Nowadays, you know, these things are expressions where we can't stifle their expressing themselves. And, you know, what I had to understand was that these children are, they're operating and they're being, once they come out of the womb, they're being conditioned like this. Everything is going like that for them, as to where during my time, it was like, I say I was like the 2G, 3G era. These kids are the 4, 5, 6 on up G era. So everything is moving like this. And so their development is moving like this. Everything with these kids is not going to be the way it was when I was their age. And so when I be hearing us older people being like, man, when I was his age, yeah, but you look at the time that these kids are in, everything is sped up, everything. You look at songs, man, songs back in our day, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes if it's a club mix or a remix. Then now you look, now a song, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, maybe. So it's like the attention span is being shortened And so the patience level is like, hurry up, come on, okay, I got it. Now it's time for me to move on to the next thing. That's why it's hard for rappers to stay relevant. They have to constantly be in the face of the people in order for, them to stay relevant and to remain popular and influential. Because if you're out of their face for an extended period of time, if you haven't grown a broad enough base, then you'll become irrelevant real quick because everything's fast now. So once I started understanding that, then I started dealing with my grandchildren a different way. Yeah, bro, I'm on Instagram. It's King Kente Mac. Just look King Kente Mac, man. And I'm definitely on Instagram, man. I got some crazy stuff on there. I'm on TikTok too. This is you can just hit uh, D Mac, Deacon Mac. I think it's Deacon Mac too on TikTok. Right now, I'm in violation on TikTok because of one of the last ones I did kind of violated they little community guidelines. But I be in community violation probably about once or twice every other week, man. But yeah, I'm on both of them, man. And that's just like me just wilding out, having fun. I do put a lot of my messages on there too. On TikTok, you can only do about 3 minutes, but on Instagram, I do the reels. And so some of the stuff that I talk about on here, I'll be having on there too. And then I'll just talk about some other stuff on there too, just whatever. But yeah, on Instagram, it's King Kente Mac, all one word. And then on TikTok is Deacon Mac too. I'm glad you said that, man. I don't ever promote that stuff, man. I don't even be thinking like that, bro. But yeah, that's it, man. But yeah, back to what I was saying. Yeah, it's the time right now for these young people to seize those opportunities. And so now us as the older ones, all we got to do is just relay that information and confirm what they already know, because these kids know a lot more than we give them credit for knowing. And that's why I love talking to the youth, because a lot of times when I'm talking to them, they think that I'm mentoring them and I'm giving them information and stuff, but they're really giving me information and stuff because they're keeping me in touch with what's going on in the communities as far as change on the local levels, on their everyday level, what's affecting our next generation. This is what these youth give to me every time I sit down and talk with them and have these interactions with them. So it's like that's now I see what artists mean when they say that they draw from these young people and they remain relevant through these people. They keep in touch with what's going on with the next generation through these younger artists. But you know, that's the same thing that I do with these kids, and I give them the wisdom from the past experiences, and they give me the end result of the decisions that my generation made, because that's what they are. They're a product of my generation. And I'm talking about the kids that's 20, I say 25 on down. They're a product of the decisions that my generation made. And so I'm seeing the end result of our collective thought. Wow. Thank you, Lord, for that. That's hard, man. That's tough. So when I think on that level, man, it gives me this feeling or a sense of obligation, man, to unteach the incorrect stuff that we taught these kids through our actions, through conversations that they heard when we thought they was asleep, through things that they saw us doing when we didn't know that they was coming from the store and looking down the alley or wherever we was doing our dirt. I feel the obligation to to correct that and give them the other side that was missing for all them years that we didn't have the time to stop and really give them, or they didn't see. Because most of the time when they would see us out on the block, they would see us making sales. They would see us out on the block slap boxing with each other, doing all the fun things. And a lot of times when we got locked up, it was in the night. It was another side of town, or situation where these kids didn't get to see the flip side of that. So all they saw was the glorified side and the fun side. And so yeah, just giving back, man. That's all. And I've been I've been sitting back just watching what's going on in Texas. And there's some people out here who like to refer to themselves as community activists. Now, to have that title of community activist means that you got to be active. That's the main component in that whole phrase or that whole title of community activist. You got to be active. Now, like I said earlier, that don't mean you have to be out here marching and standing in front of people's things, protesting every day or nothing like that. But you have to be active in the community as far as outreach, as far as trying to affect these children, as far as trying to just do your part to let people know that you are part of that village that's needed to raise a child. So if you're not doing that basic thing right there, then you might want to hold off on using that term activist. You can use something else that's a little less misleading, like I'm a community advocate, or advocate means that, I speak on behalf of the community. I may not be in the community, but I speak on behalf of them. I'm a representation of them. So that's a good term that you could use. But if you really in those trenches and you really getting out there and you really dealing with these drug dealers, and you dealing with the gang members and things like that, then I can call you a community activist. But let's not just throw that term around loosely, because I hear a whole lot of people who love to use that term, and they are not in line with the criteria that it takes to wear that title. So let's just be careful with that. Let's not let fanfare and just because they get on radio shows, and they get on other networks, and they have a little bit of charisma and when they speak, and they entertain you when they talk and stuff like that. Let's not get that confused with being someone who makes a change in the hood. All right, because a lot of people get caught up in that entertainment, and is that goes back to, I'm gonna give a little bit of history on that right there, because the black church back in slavery times, before the preacher could go and preach that sermon, he would have to preach it to the master, and he would have to preach it to the overseer, or the overseer would sit in on the service to make sure that the preacher wasn't saying nothing out of pocket, that he was always preaching a docile message, that he was always preaching a message of surrender, and all of those things to keep them calm in their spirit and in their mind. And this is where this comes from. And so we have to be careful as to not to fall into that trap. I always say, chew up the meat, spit out the bones, man. I'm gonna just leave it at that. I'm not gonna get into that, because that can be misconstrued a lot of ways, and I already get enough of shadow attacks on here. That's something I want to address a little bit, man. It don't bother me at all. I love getting down in the comments with them, man, and I love to engage in these conversations, because a lot of times, man, they come out with a positive ending more than often, but that's usually determined by how I come at those people. I usually, based on the energy that I come with, man, it determines the outcome of those conversations. And I'm learning more and more that when I don't engage in insults and the name calling and stuff like that, and I kind of turn the tide and ask some questions, or make them feel less attacked, or I don't make them feel like they're less informed than me, then I get a better interaction with those people, and we end up having a real productive conversation. And oftentimes I end up getting people who follow my page because of that, or follow my Facebook or whatever because of that, man. And it's just a matter of wanting a solution, man. That's all I want. I don't care about all of the particulars and stuff like that. I let somebody else who's intellectually capable of that do that stuff. All I want is justice, and people to know truth, man. Because if you are a believer in Christ and you are a believer in the Most High God, then the only way we can worship Him is in spirit and in truth. And so that's all I want, man. That's all I desire for the people. And this is my way of doing it. And it is what it is, man. I appreciate y'all, man, for tuning in today. I think I hear my wife coming in from church. I'm going here and mess with her a little bit and give me some vittles, man. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Much respect, much love. And I'm definitely going to check that movie out. Don't Look Up. Yeah, I'm going to go find that in a little bit, man. And y'all heard my platform information. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Shout out to all the content providers. Shout out to um, Big J. Shout out to Reverend Tony over there. Yes, sir, Reverend Tony over there, man. At Self Awareness TV, y'all go check him out. Man, he be dropping some information, and Reverend Tony is a trip, man. He be having me rolling in the midst of giving you that game, man. So yeah, tune in to him. My boy Talk with T. Go check him out. Go check out Redemption Goddess. Go check her out. That's a queen that be dropping some truth bombs, man. And it's so many people that just keep it real, man. You just have to dig for them, because these platforms, let's be real, these platforms is not gonna give you that exposure, especially if you're not falling in line with their narratives and stuff like that. So, certain content providers you're gonna have to dig for, but it's worth the dig. It's worth the extra few minutes that it's gonna take to pull them up, man. And you'll get a lot out of it. So shout out to every single content provider out there that have to be dug up, because that means we getting it out of the mud for real. So this your boy D Mac, man. I'm about to get up out of here. You said you need me to talk to my family members. Hey man, anytime they want to come on, man, you know how my platform is. If they want to come on and chop it up about something, I'm available anytime, man. It just hit me up and let me know. And that's what I love to do, man. That's what I'm about, bro. And the end result is gonna be whatever it be, but they'll never be, over talked. I don't do that, and I let people speak their entire piece. And you know what I'm saying? When we get to the end, either we'll agree or we'll agree to disagree, but we both gonna come away with more information than we had when we met. So, hey, I salute you, Uncle Vern, always, man. You've been hollering at me for a minute. So have you, Reverend Tony. So have you, Truth Lady. So have what's my girl, Amina. She drop in on me often. And that's why I like have a small core of people, man, because I can know people on a personal level, man. So that's cool. But yeah, man, I'm about to get up out of here, go in here and mess with my wife's son. Blessings to all y'all, man. Love every one of you. Y'all know what I say, man. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word can always heal you. I'm out.